So where is it in this budget, the replacement of the sidewalks?
It's not.
It's not, so we can't do it unless we decide to replace the sidewalk.
Right. Right.
Unless we can decide that part of doing the lights is you have to replace the sidewalk and justify it in this budget, electric capital. Just, I'm sorry, you just can't, we can't tackle, what I'm not suggesting, I'm just saying we can't tackle it right now.
And I guess this is the 1930s rusted out green
Yes.
wing. Somewhere we've lost off the plate the intersection at Prospect and Kings, which never got the new armatures to match the one for Kings Road on the Waverly and Green. And I don't know what happened there, but that was originally supposed to be done as part of the upgrade to the building and the installation of the cameras and all that. Just throw it out there for what it's worth.
Say that again. Say that again.
When we did the public safety building,
Yeah, right.
those armatures and poles were supposed to be replaced so that they would match. We had this discussion.
No, right. It's coming back. Yeah.
And install the cameras so they face the building and whatever, sweep the building. So they matched the ones on Waverly, or Green and Kings.
Okay,
We never did that.
okay.
We're having to.
Fine.
I've just,
Yeah.
Right.
I'd throw that out there.
It was not part of the police and fire budget. It was something we were taking offline through from the electric utility capital project
I don't
budget?
remember.
Not big, that's
No,
traffic,
I don't-
these traffic lights are not usually.
No.
yeah.
They're not typically.
That's a
aligned.
Bob question.
Back to
Yeah,
Vogel.
That's Bob, yeah, and also the famous trench to the monopole we've never put in
Okay.
along Kings Road. Sometime,
Right.
my lifetime.
But that's
we'll do that.
outside Mike's budget.
Yeah,
is
but
what
it
you're
just,
telling me.
it just brings to mind
No,
here
I
before
understand,
we.
I understand the thought process. I didn't know if we were gonna get closure on it by substituting A for B in Mike's budget, but the answer is no.
And another disadvantage I shouldn't say disadvantage, but what makes it difficult to do this lighting on Kings Road is if it's in pieces. You've got between Prospect and Maple.
Yeah,
You've got between Green Avenue and Green Village Road. You've got between Green Village Road and Green Village Schoolyard. They're segmented. You're really not doing the entire street. You're only doing a portion of the street. You only have lighting on one side of the street. So there's a lot more involved there. Ray and I had discussed this because of the complaints that we get about the shape of the lights.
Yeah,
So it needs to be done, we just have to
Condition.
coordinate.
Condition.
We have to coordinate it with another investment.
this is,
And that's-
this is just interdepartmental commitment of funds.
Yeah.
You know, we can't have the conversation with Michael in a vacuum about these lights. We need to understand and work it into the general capital budget as well, to provide for the rest of the project, so you don't solve one problem, create another, and leave sidewalks that are in disarray, and instead of
Right.
people fumbling because they're in the dock, they're tripping over uneven sidewalks. I mean, you know.
At least
if
at
you're
least
gonna
they can see the
incorporate-
graph.
I'll just see where they're falling.
And if you're gonna incorporate the period piece traffic lights
Yeah.
and arms too, that's close enough to the section between Maple
Yeah.
and Prospect.
Yeah, I just think we need, and this is probably just internal procedure, we just need to identify better those types of projects that extend outside the current year that we're reviewing, and B, extend across capital fund pots, so that we understand that, you know, again, that, you know, if we don't fall into a trap where we commit 100, you know, X number of, 175 for these fixtures on Kings Road, without having made an appropriate allocation out of general capital to repair sidewalks and take care of that. And so we have a better understanding and appreciation for the full scope of the project.
Yeah.
If I could add-
Flow chart of linked projects of somehow, or something.
I mean, the flip side of that discussion is you've got $1.6 million. We have not spent significant capital dollars out of that pot for a number of years. We haven't raised capital dollars through the rate structure of the electric utility for a number of years. If we don't spend it on this. I mean, one other way would be to blur the line between the nature of the work and not be, to create as much flexibility as we can within the constraints of the law, and our auditor, and with Robert's help, is to craft the fact. So if we have to take a sidewalk down, or if we have to do reconstruction of curbing, that would be a recognized charge under the utility. So we're not depleting further a pot has an overwhelming demand for a limited source of funds, and be generous interpretation so that your project documents for these type of work would incorporate soup to nuts everything. So if we're not just doing the poles and we've got $1.6 million in a pot that we can only spend for certain purposes, incorporate the entire scope of the project within this funding pot so that we're not depleting the other pots that have a greater demand on them.
That was the conversation I was going to have offline.
It's offline.
Thanks. Rosemary Woods, where are you?
Step on the table.
Okay, anything else? Dan?
You had a similar question.
I knew you were going to let me down. Go ahead.
Not for Mike, really for Robert. Again, the same question. We have a $402,000 request. What did we spend in electrical last year?
I don't have that.
I know, it's really for
It
Robert.
was a small,
Next to nothing.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Next to nothing.
a trailer maybe, yeah, I think.
The trailer, yeah, and
Trailer.
We did a shed the year before or something
we
like
purchased
that.
$10,000 for a cover trailer.
and I think it was $40-some thousand for Victorian fixtures, the new style Victorian fixtures
The heads,
that
right.
we're incorporating into the commercial district.
Right. Right, that was it.
We do a lot of infrastructure repairs in-house on our operating budget.
Dan, as Mike said, his operating budget maintains the system. The two largest capital expenditures that have occurred over the last 15 years have been the upgrades to both the James Park and the Kings Road substations. And when those upgrades are done, those are multi-million-dollar projects. And we funded all of those from available resources. We didn't bond them. Next time we have to do an upgrade, we're going to need additional capital, and we're going to need to start to put additional capital funds in the operating budget for that purpose. As a matter of fact, that's something that Ray and I and Mike should have a discussion on.
Okay.
Well, that's why it's important to do the diagnostic testing that we do annually to detect those types of problems headed our way.
Okay.
What is that book?
All right, thank you very much.
One more, thanks.
Thanks, Mike.